This is our horseradish. We have it growing in a grow bag. We've had it, I guess, 2 years, at least 2 years, maybe 3 years. Before that, I was never successful at growing horseradish. I put it in the container so that I could keep a real close eye on it, you know, hoping that that would be the year that it would grow, and obviously it has. But also because I've heard people say that horseradish will get away from you. It will become almost invasive. Like once you have it, you can never get rid of it. So that was another reason that we put it in the grow bag. I'm positive by now it has grew down through the grow bag though, since it's been in here for a couple of years. But today I'm going to harvest some of it because I'm making my 14-day pickles and I need horseradish. I really don't know where to start, so I'm just going to dig in and see what happens. The leaves are really pretty, and it had some blooms, but the blooms have all disappeared now. You can see what's kind of left of them. If I can break those off, it might look better. Ooh, and I pulled that one up. So that's got a little bitty root, but not near as what I need. So I might try to put that one back. I shouldn't have been pulling so hard. Let's see. Maybe I should go for one of these big ones. Maybe that one. It looks smaller. Maybe this great old big one right in the middle would be good. I see some snail buddies down in there. They're enjoying the green and the moistness, I guess, of the rain we've had. We have the roots down in there. It's going to be a workout. I thought I broke my shovel there for a minute, but I didn't. Another snail buddy. Okay, finally got it. So this is the size that I ended up with, and my recipe calls for horseradish about the size of a carrot. That one's thicker than a carrot, but shorter maybe, so I think it'll be just perfect. It smells so good. And the leaves are edible too. I don't know that I'll do anything with the leaves. These are kind of they feel really tough. I might though. I might chop them up and do something with them. The problem is nobody really likes horseradish but me. So I'll see what I can do with them. I wonder if the chickens would eat them. That might be a possibility too. I'm going to plant that one that I accidentally pulled up. I'm going to wash this one off with the hose and then go inside and get started on my next step of my pickles. I got the horseradish all cleaned up. I think that's going to be perfect for what I need to do with it today. So this is not the complete recipe of the 14-day pickles. 7 days of it have already passed, and well, actually 8 days of it's already passed by this point. So the first step is just that you put the cucumbers, clean them good, put them in a brine, and they stay there for 7 days. Then the steps start each day. And I did a video where I went through every step a couple of years ago, so I will link to that video. Now these pickles are a sweet pickle, and they're crunchy. They have this real crunch to them, really crunchy. And I first learned about them from Matt's mother, Miss Cindy. The recipe had been passed down in her family. Actually, let me grab it over here. Passed down in her family. She gave me this years ago and laminated it for me. So this on the back side was her grandmother's Dolly Sharp Meese, her handwritten one. And then her father typed out this one, Curtis, which was Dolly's son. So really sweet to have that. But once I tasted the pickles and I ate them and they're good just to eat out of the jar if you want to eat them with soup beans or something like that. But where they really shine is in like potato salad or tuna fish. That's where we eat the majority of the ones that I make. And I didn't make any last year, and I'm not sure I made any the year before either. So we're totally out. Opened our last jar a couple of months ago and ate them, and in some tuna fish, like several days of tuna fish, or several, like maybe a week or two. 2 or 3 cans, I should say, of tuna fish, and now we're out. So I didn't want to wait on our cucumbers to actually start producing. So I got these at Spud Shack in Murphy, and I've never used store-bought cucumbers, so I was kind of worried. Over the years that I've shared this recipe on the Blind Pig and the Acorn and here on Celebrating Appalachia, one thing people will tell me is in that first week, sometimes their cucumbers just go all to mush. But they had purchased them, and I said, well, maybe it was something on them. I don't know. You know, I don't. There's no rhyme or reason to it. I just don't know since I wasn't there. And even if I was there, I probably still wouldn't know. But I was concerned about that. Now, it's not unusual in that first week for one, maybe even mine that I grow, maybe one or something will go mushy on you. But for them all to go mushy, I've never had that happen. But I was concerned this time. When I brought them home, I soaked them for a long time in just some cold water, and then I kind of lightly scrubbed over them just to make sure that, since I don't know where they were grown, Ray might know, it's Spud Shack, but I didn't ask him. Anyway, you just don't know if you didn't grow it right in your garden. And most of the time it's perfectly fine. I'm not trying to say it's not. I'm just saying for me, I was nervous because I had never used store-bought pickles or store-bought cucumbers before to make my pickles. Looks like they're going to be just fine though, because I don't have any mushy ones. So today's step that I am going to do, today I woke up thinking there's two things I need to do. Two things, and then I said no, there's one thing I need to do and one thing I want to do. So this is the need to do. I've got to do this and get it out of the way. The other thing that I want to do is, one day last week when Matt and I were down at the big garden working, I was looking around for spring wildflowers is what I was doing, but I knew that on the kind of the bank of our driveway, I knew there's lots of sassafras trees that grow there. And I noticed several, just some of the little ones, because of course we had Thomas clear that off year before last, and it's just now beginning to grow back. And I noticed several growing, and I thought, you know, it'd be really nice to dig some up and make some sassafras tea like the old people, like old timers used to do. I don't do that, but I think I'm going to go do it today. And maybe Matt's working on the shed. Maybe I'll take him a cup of it outside and see what he thinks about it. But first I'm going to get on this chore. So the step I've got to do today is just to slice up the cucumbers, and you could make them as small. This one's kind of got a cavity on the inside. That's strange. It's almost like it's completely hollowed out. That is really weird. It'll be interesting to see if any of the others are like that. You can make them as thick or as I guess as thin as you want, but I go on the thick side. Because the process that you put them through is kind of intense, so you don't want them just to drift away on you. And I just put the ends in there too sometimes, and sometimes I throw them out. I think I put that end in there, so you can decide what you want to do about that. This one's kind of like that on the inside too. Strange. One of the steps, or several of the steps, include boiling water. That's what I've got on the stove, and I turned it off. After I'd been making them a while, or maybe it was even before I really started making them, right at the beginning, I guess, Miss Cindy told me that she had always used boiling water. That's what her daddy did. That's what her grandmother did. But she got to worrying about if you're using, and I'm going to have to get me a towel here. All these cucumbers have got liquid in them. Put me a towel here to dam off the water. If you're using an old crock like that, then you're worried about, they're so fragile anyway, pouring the hot water, boiling hot water in them. She was afraid that it would crack, and maybe she even thought it had cracked one of hers. So what she started doing was she'd bring it to a boil and then turn it off, and then by the time she was ready to whatever it was about the next step, then she would pour it in. So it wasn't quite boiling. For the past, I don't know, several years, I've not been using my crocks as much because they are so heavy, and you know, it's just hard to manage them. You have to pour the stuff out of them and all that. So I started using like canisters, 2 gallon canisters that you can buy at Walmart or any of the big box stores. I'm sure you can probably find them online too, that have a lid. They're like for cookies or to storage more if you're going to put your flour or cornmeal or something like that in it. And I started using those, and those work really good, and then they're more manageable. I could just pour them out. Maybe I would do 2 at a time to hold this many. But this year, since Matt's here with me, I did use the crock. Now, the first step where I had to pour that stuff out. Matt did it for me because it's just so heavy. But today he's out there working on the shed, so I just took one of my little dippers and just dipped out the water that after I got the pickles out, I dipped out the water that I was going to have to discard that they'd been setting in. So you could do it that way, or you could just, like, you know, don't do the whole recipe. Cut it in half, cut it in thirds. You could do that and have not as many because of that heaviness of the crock. Or use multiple containers too. I've had people tell me they used food grade plastic, like 5-gallon buckets, but food grade, and that they made their pickles or whatever, the sauerkraut or whatever they were doing in that. Now, I've never done that, but I don't see why in the world it wouldn't work. I've had a lot of people say that they made theirs like that. I've ended up keeping most of my ends because I'm thinking about how desperate I've wanted 14-day pickles in the last month, and thinking I might as well just put them all in there. And pretty much every one I've cut has been like that. So I don't know if that's something, the nature of the size. I've made big I mean, you know, if you grow cucumbers, you know there's always one hiding from you that you don't see when you're harvesting. So I don't think that's it. I don't know. But I'm just going to go for it at this point. They're still really firm. They're just, their middle's gone. I would say maybe the cucumber was just like that, but I don't think so because I ate one of them when we first got home, and it was just like a regular, it had seeds and everything. So maybe the brine somehow dissolved them, although I don't see any seeds in the water. So that's a mystery. I think that while that water is really hot, I'm going to go ahead and chop up my pieces of horseradish and put it in there. And also, this recipe calls for alum. Now, some people don't want to use that. You could research and see what you would rather use in place of that, but I have it over here, so I'm going to put that in too. And then just keep cutting my cucumbers. Okay, that's all the cucumbers there. Another thing I wanted to mention was, if you are, like, this is not really a fermented pickle. It did sit for 7 days in the brine, but it's going to have vinegar and it's going to have sugar in it, so it's really not a fermented pickle. But if in this situation of this pickle, or if you do ferment things, a lot of times people get really worried about the mold or the greenish or whatever it is that might accumulate on the sides or maybe on the top of the water. In this case, like the skim of water on the top might have a little bit of moldy looking stuff in it. All that is harmless, even on the fermented things. You can just scrape it off and discard it. Of course, with this, you're getting rid of it because you're pouring the water off. But if something was truly bad, if these really went rancid on you, or if your ferment did, there's no denying what it is. It would smell so bad. It might even have bugs in it. It would be so bad, you would know. There'd be no, like, I wonder if, like this, even though I'd washed these, you can't really see probably, but the water's still a little cloudy in there. But as I was cutting them, and even as I first opened the crock over there, it's just this smell of like yeasty cleanness, really fresh smelling, even though it's kind of a little yeasty smell, kind of like your bread, if you're baking bread, but a really wonderful smell if you ask me. But it's more of a clean, fresh scent, similar to yeast, but in a clean manner, if that makes sense. I don't know. But if it was really bad, you would know. Now, I've had things go bad. And we had a thing of kraut one time go bad. We couldn't figure out what in the world happened to it. Our only thought was that 2 little girls who lived here at the time might have done something to it, that might have been it. But it was, there's no denying how bad it was, and it just all had to be thrown away. But then I've had people tell me, I made kraut and it got mold on the top of it. It didn't really look bad underneath, but I was afraid to eat it, so I got rid of it. And I was like, oh, you should have just scraped that out and it would have been okay. Anyway, if you make this and you see that on top of the water, don't be alarmed, unless, of course, it was just putrid. And if in that situation, your cucumbers would not be, like, this is not as firm as a fresh cucumber. You can see the liquid coming out of it. But it's not, you know, obviously I can't push my fingers through it, even though I'm pushing on it. So good rule of thumb is to really examine it close, not just thinking about the mold and I got to get rid of it, because you might be throwing away something good. So I have all the pickles back in there, the cucumbers. I've got the horseradish down in there, the alum, and the water. And now I'm going to put a little, once it gets to this stage, I don't worry as much about them being submerged, but I am going to put a little plate to kind of hold them down in there. There's always some that escape, and I just leave them like they are. I don't try to make sure that every last one of them is under there. And then I'm going to cover them up like this. And I have a big rubber band that I've been putting them around them. In years past, Matt would tie something around them for me, but I'm just going to, since I'll be doing something to them tomorrow, I'm just going to leave them just like that. It is a beautiful, beautiful day. Now that I've got the have-to out of the way with the pickles, now I'm going to walk down the driveway and see if I can get some sassafras to make some tea. So this is the bank of our driveway where it starts up, and that's where I was noticing all the sassafras trees, which I knew they grew here. You can see here. Interesting thing about them is, look, this is the windy kind of down here, but this is the leaves. So you see that one, and then you see this one underneath that looks totally different. Isn't that strange? That's one of the characteristics about sassafras leaves. You can see these, how that one is, and then how that one kind of looks like a mitten, you know, when the mittens that have got your, just a place for your thumb. So really unique. That is interesting. That looks like a sunflower down here. I don't know what that is. Almost looks like a sunflower. I'm gonna have to keep my eye on that and see what that is. So this little area is just full of sassafras. You can see, I mean, there's probably, just where I'm standing, I could probably count 30 or 40 little plants, so it's not going to hurt it a bit for me to dig one of them up to get the roots. So I couldn't resist seeing what this plant was on my phone. If you have an iPhone, if you take a picture of it, then you look at your picture, you can see a little eye, and if you click on that, it will ask you if you want to look up the plant. So I did, and it was a evening primrose. So I think this will be more than enough just for our one little cup of tea that we're going to make. I'll take the leaves too. So I'll take it all. Here I've got some little fingers helping me. Ira and Katie have come with me. Another thing is you can smell the sassafras leaves. Smell this, Ira.
Smell it, Ira.
Smell. Thank you. Thank you. And they smell like, I think they smell like lemon. What do you think they smell like,
yeah,
Katie?
Yeah, lemon.
If you just kind of crush them and smell of them. Thank you. While we were getting the sassafras, I wanted to check on the wild raspberries. They are just everywhere here by Paul's garage. Look at those. They go all the way up the bank towards Granny's house and over. So I hope to be down here picking some before too long. It'll probably be June or maybe even July before they're ripe though. At least June. I got my root and I got it all cleaned up, got the dirt off of it. So now I'm going to make the tea. I wanted to read though to you a little bit out of the book. Now you can find all kinds of information and recipes online for making sassafras tea, so you should do your little Google search and see what you find out. Also, there's some people that think that it's bad for you, that it could be, I've read that it could cause cancer, that it thins your blood too much. That was the old saying, the old people, when they would do this for a spring tonic, was that it would thin your thick winter blood and get you going for the spring, was why it was used as a spring tonic. But there's cons, people that think it's bad, and then there's pros, people that think it's really great. So you just have to do your own research there and decide what you want to do. But this recipe that I'm going to use, I'm going to do it a little bit different, but it's from Roadside Rambles, a collection of wild food recipes. And this was written by a lady that I've met before, Isla Hatter. She's taught a lot of folk school classes over the years. I'm not sure she teaches any today, but she has in the past, so you might remember her. But she knows so much about wild crafting, about foraging. So this is her little pages that she has on sassafras. She says, sassafras, also known as green stick or saloop, is a small tree. It is a weedy tree occurring in early stages of old field succession or growing in fence corners or edges of open woods. In the mountains, sassafras can be a tall forest tree. Twigs are bright green and very aromatic. Leaves are variable, oval, mitten shape, and three-parted leaves can occur on the same sassafras tree. Exactly what we saw, right? Finding a matched pair of sassafras mittens, a left and a right, will bring you good luck. I did not know that. I'll have to go back and look, huh? Saffrole, the highly concentrated oil of sassafras, can be dangerous if used in large quantities. Average use of sassafras tea will not harm anyone, and it can be mildly stimulating. Roots are usually gathered for tea and are said to taste better if gathered while the tree is dormant, which of course this one's not, it's got leaves on it. Dried sassafras leaves make a pleasant tasting pale green tea, and flowers make tea especially delicate and delightful. Dried sassafras leaves are used in soups and stews and are a main ingredient in Creole gumbo. When I was doing a little bit of research this morning, I saw that it was used in the gumbo, which I don't make gumbo, but I have eaten it before. I wonder if what I eat had sassafras in it. So then she has some recipes that you could make with it. So for the sassafras root tea, was wash roots, chop in small pieces, and boil until they are pale reddish color. Serve hot or iced. Spice with cloves, cinnamon, or ginger, or spice bush berries, or add spice bush twigs and sweet birch twigs. I could go get me some sweet birch. To make tea of leaves or flowers, pour boiling water over them and let them steep briefly, then serve immediately before delicate flavor is lost. She shares a few other recipes too. Sassafras candy, grate sassafras bark, boil and strain, add 3 cups sugar to 2 cups sassafras tea and boil to 250 degrees on a candy thermometer. Let harden and break into small pieces or freeze on sticks for sassafras popsicles. I should do that for me and Matt, shouldn't I? Sassafras ice, make sassafras tea rather strong. Whip with cream and sugar, freeze into ice. Sassafras ice, the second one. Sassafras tea plus 1 tablespoon lemon juice and honey, whip to a froth and freeze that. And then you can do sassy apple. Mix together 1 quart strong sassafras tea, 1 quart apple juice, and 1/2 quart orange juice. Simmer with 1 cinnamon stick and a couple of cloves. Serve hot with sassafras sticks. I bet that would be good for thinking about Christmas, or that holiday season from Thanksgiving all the way till Christmas. I bet that would be really good for then, like a fall hot drink. I should maybe I should harvest more of the sassafras and dry it so that I could do that. So then she's got this little a little saying here. You might have heard this before. In the spring of the year, when the blood is too thick, there's nothing so fine as a sassafras stick. It tones up the liver and strengthens the heart, and to the whole system new life doth impart. Sing the praises of sassafras, sweet salute so sweet, makes tea so full of pep, it simply can't be beat. Take a drink of sassafras, take a drink of spice, both are very good for you, both taste very nice. How nice is that? So what I'm going to do is, I've got to make Matt some dinner. He's been out there working so hard, so I'm going to have to interrupt myself. So I've got the water over there boiling, and I'm going to bring it to a boil. I'm going to put the root in there, and then I'm just going to let it steep while I make him some dinner, and then I might even just re-warm it up. I might let it steep for an hour or two and then take it out to him for a nice treat when he continues to work this afternoon. Or maybe I'll let him drink it with dinner. I'll have to decide. But I'm just going to, it's very, I should have just brought my snips in with me. But I'm just going to cut it. Well, she said very small pieces though. So maybe I should cut it. Already the smell, even when I was washing it, has this great smell. My knife's going to be very dull after this, isn't it? Maybe I'll do a little bit smaller. Maybe cut all those in half. Let's see, she said to boil it until it's pale red. The pale red I was thinking about, so maybe I'll steep it until it's pale red. And I guess if it doesn't get pale red, maybe I'll boil it then. Satisfied with that being like that. Okay, now I've got all this. I'll wait for my water to boil and then I'll put it in. And once it boils, I'm going to put it in there when it's boiling, and then I'm just going to set it off the heat and let it steep while I'm doing my other stuff. Okay, I found another little one, and then I thought, why don't I just do it all at once? So got my big measuring bowl out. I'll put it all in here. Once it gets in it, you'll be able to see that really is pretty, that pink. Kind of a reddish, light orange, I guess. It's pretty though. Left my mess. I went outside with Matt and I got cold, so I put his shirt on. Now I got to decide. I think I'm just going to make, I don't want mine, you know I don't like hot tea, so I'll leave mine like it is. But I will heat up Matt's, I guess. Now I'm going to sweeten it with something. I guess I could sweeten it with honey, or I could sweeten it with sugar.
Maple syrup.
Maple syrup, Katie says.
I got it.
I'm afraid the maple syrup might be too strong.
Maple
interfere
syrup,
with it.
maple sugar, coconut sugar, supplement sugar.
Whatever you're going to do.
Honey, probably good.
Let's see. Get Matt some. And it smells just like root beer. It smells good. I'm gonna, well, maybe I'll just use honey. Matt's I'm gonna heat in the microwave a little bit, but mine I'm not gonna heat, so maybe the honey would dissolve easier. It may be way too much. I'll start with mine. See what I think about that. That's good. Very good. Doesn't taste like hot tea at all. There's the weird aftertaste of hot teas is what I don't like. I'll leave my spoon in there and get another one for me. I won't get sassafras in the honey. Now, years ago, we used to play at it was like an Indian festival, a Cherokee Indian festival every year in Marble. We did that for many years, and they'd have like little booths, and they'd have gospel music, so we would be part of that, and there'd be other groups there too. It was always a lot of fun walking around looking at everything. And there was always a booth that had sassafras tea, and it didn't cost anything. You just told them you wanted a drink. I don't think it cost anything. If it did, it was nothing much. And they put it in a little cup, and you could drink it. So that's probably the last time that I had it. And they didn't serve it. It was not hot. It was not hot. It was more. It wasn't really cold. Probably just like room temperature. Kind of like mine over there will be. Let me heat up Matt's for a few minutes. Okay, I got Matt's warmed. Got my honey all dissolved. So now I'll take it out and see how he likes it. Convince Matt to come sit down for just a minute, taste his tea, and then I'll let him go back to work. See what you think. I heated yours up. I figured you wanted yours hot.
You'll be drinking it cold?
Yeah, or room temperature or whatever. I just don't do hot tea like that, but it's good.
I'm a lover of the barn stall taste.
I mean it, not me. This doesn't have the barn stall taste. Tastes like root beer.
No, it's not.
Did you like root beer?
I didn't dislike it. I just didn't drink it a whole lot.
That's how
I kind of
was.
like it better now than I did when I was young.
I didn't. This wasn't that I thought it was the most horrible drink, but I just wasn't. If there was soft drinks there, which is root beer that I think of, I was going to pick something besides the root beer.
You're more into the regular beer, wasn't you?
No.
When you was little, young.
No.
Every chance you got to hide behind a tree and
No.
pop a top on one.
I don't think so. I don't think so. Now Paul liked root beer. He really liked it, so he was always wanting the root beer. He liked it.
That's good.
I guess root beer is made from sassafras, where it comes from.
Is it?
Yeah. Did you know sassafras, like little leaves and stuff, are used in gumbo? Yeah.
Gumbo.
It's like they make a seasoning out of it, and then they use it.
No,
Yeah.
I'm not familiar with gumbo.
No, me neither. But I've seen that on the interwebs. That's where I learned that.
On the interwebs.
Yeah.
Oh, wait a minute. We're gonna freak people out. We're on opposite sides.
Oh, are we?
Yeah, I'm a little freaked out myself.
I knew something felt weird. Well, what do you think? Is this a? We should have a really good. We have had a good spring so far, but we've done the birch sap, and now we've done this for a spring tonic. We should just run through the rest of the summer.
Yeah, well, slick off real good.
And we should. Yeah, we really should. Really should. I think you could put, I read, but never tried it, but if you wanted to make root beer, you could put yeast in this and sugar and then let it ferment, and it would turn into, not like real beer, it wouldn't have I don't think it'd have any alcoholic properties, but if it did, it'd be really minuscule. But you could taste it that way. Then it would be, what do you call it, like ferment, or carbonated. Carbonated is what I'm looking at. The fermentation would cause it to carbonate. Go ahead and say it, whatever
I ain't
it
saying
is.
nothing. Just keep going. Keep rattling. I'm not saying a thing.
You may get some sassafras tea over your head.
I don't want that, dear.
You can see, though, the way it tastes, that why it would be a treat for people.
Oh,
You know,
yeah,
why
if
you'd get really, if you didn't have the root beer Coke or Sprite or Dr. Pepper or whatever.
Right.
Yeah,
I mean,
something different.
yeah, we're used to just whatever we want when we want it.
Living in the land of plenty.
Right.
Yeah. Well, I sure hope you enjoyed coming along with me today I had to do, woke up and thought there's two things I need to do, and then I said no, I rearranged that. There's two things. There's one thing I have to do, and there's one thing I want to do, is how it was. Need to do, had to do was the pickles. So I got that done. And then the want to was to go pull up one of those little sassafras trees and make us some sassafras tea. So
I ain't got to my want to yet, and now I'm too tired to.
oh goodness.
Just especially since it's so nice, I thought about going up in the woods and poking around a little, but I don't believe I can stand that climb now. I've been up and down this ladder climbing so much I can't. Just ain't got it now.
Got wore out, didn't you?
Yeah, and I ain't done yet.
Well, they say the sassafras tea's a pick-me-up, even a mild stimulant, so maybe you'll get...
Stimulant how? I mean, it's not gonna, I'm not just gonna go crazy or nothing.
No. It's just when people used to, that was the spring tonic thing, so maybe you'll get a pep in your step and want to hike up the mountain.
Yeah. Maybe I'll just string up some lights and just go into the night on this thing.
Maybe. You might. We're always glad when you stop by to help us celebrate Appalachia.